Atlanta International Raceway in Hampton, Georgia, some 30 miles south of the Georgia state capitol. Right now running under the yellow, the Atlanta 500, and with just a total of 47 laps to go. It's Neil Bonnet leading, Dick Brooks is second, Mark Martin third, Terry Labonte is fourth, and Benny Parsons is fifth. This is Al Michaels reporting with Sam Posey and Chris Economaki, and we are anticipating the green flag. They had been running under the yellow because Dale Earnhardt went out with a blown engine about 10 minutes ago. They have cleared the track of the debris and the oil. The pace car, as you can see on the right-hand side, has pulled into the pits, and the starter with the green flag in hand has it out, and we're racing under green again at Atlanta. Neil Bonnet in car number 75 on top. He has led a good part of the way. What's interesting is that Dick Brooks, number 90, who has not won a Grand National race in 10 years in the blue car, third in your picture right there, is in second place. Now, Bobby Allison is car 22, but he is a couple of laps down. There is Brooks right there. So forget Allison right now. That's Bonnet the leader and Brooks in the blue car second.
And Al, at this point in the day, already, a massive accident, turn 3. They're all over the place.
Cars sliding and hitting together in turn number 3 as they come down off the wall right after we had gotten the green. They did not even complete one lap. And we have car number 57 is one of those involved. That's Ken Reagan. Car 17 is also involved. That's Sterling Marlin. Car number 52, Jimmy Means. None of those fellas were up amongst the leaders. And we'll just have to check it and see if any of the leaders were involved in the incident. Look at the right side of the screen now as they head into turn number 3 in the shade.
Okay, and that is, yes, where they have to head into the shade. The sun is very low in the sky. Now, this is the first accident of the day, Al, as you know, and it involved none of the leaders. It is hard to see what triggered it, and there were no apparent really serious hits there.
Jim Souter in the green car, just sliding out of view off the left-hand portion of your screen, was one of the men also involved. So we had Souter, we had Reagan, we had car 17, Sterling Marlin in your picture, and car 52, Jimmy Means. All of those fellas were running well back in the pack. So as we come to you live and got the green flag, we have our first incident of the day in turn 3. Also coming your way on Wide World of Sports today, coverage of the NCAA Swimming and Diving Championships from Indianapolis, Indiana. So right now, once again, at Atlanta International Raceway, we're under the yellow, and ABC's Wide World of Sports is being brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. Reach for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. By GMC Trucks are what we're all about. And by Old Spice, timeless, enduring, unmistakably masculine, the classic scent for men. Old Spice, a timeless expression of good taste. We've completed 283 laps. We have 45 laps to go, or about 68 miles. The track just over a mile and a half around. The Atlanta 500 under yellow right now. Bonnet the leader. We'll be right back. Back live at Atlanta International Raceway. Still under the yellow, and will probably be for a little while at least as they clear up the track. Neil Bonnet is the leader, followed by Brooks, Martin, Parsons, and Labonte. So we'll wait for the green. That will come shortly. Meanwhile, the NCAA Swimming and Diving Championships in Indianapolis, our commentator is Jim Lampley. We're back live, coverage of the Atlanta 500. More swimming and diving coming your way a little bit later, but right now under the green, it's Neil Bonnet leading. Benny Parsons making a great charge now, and he is in Bonnet's draft. Then you've got Brooks, Martin, and Labonte. Yarborough is still very much in the picture with 31 laps to go, or about 47 miles. But there are the leaders right now. Neil Bonnet in car 75, and right behind him, Benny Parsons, who has really had a lot of trouble over the past few years, but here he is perhaps on the threshold of his biggest victory in about 5 years.
And to clarify the situation, there will be, unless there's an accident of some kind again, there would be no yellow between now and the finish of the race. This is a straight race to the finish. It's very dramatic. It's almost as if the entire rest of the day didn't even exist, Al, because we have come down to this incredible finish.
And Cale Yarborough, all of a sudden in that orange car, there he is in the picture, the orange and white Number 28 is moving up on the front two. He is in third place. Now, Cale led earlier, then all of a sudden he moves back into the pack. Never far out of contention, however. He did start the day well back in the 11th row, but there he is again. He's a man who has won 6 500-mile races on this track.
Something to look for. There's a strong crosswind blowing diagonally across the track. And when the cars are very close to each other, drafting in and out, it affects their stability significantly.
Joe Ruttman is in fourth place. The leader is still Bonnet. That's Parsons right there in 55 in second place. But here comes Cale. He might be the man to beat the way he's running right now with 28 laps remaining in the Atlanta 500. They have completed 300 of the 328 at the moment.
Cale is the fastest moving car on the racetrack at this point. I mean, you see the car is handling beautifully, and the fastest way around the track here is said to be a low line. Now, Cale is trying it here as they go into turn one. They don't brake here at any point, Al. They just lift off going into turn one and again into turn three. Won't see any braking. But they lift off for about a second, and then they get back on the power, and that low line is supposed to be faster.
Well, here comes Parsons now. Benny's going to try that lower line, and he does move in front of Bonnet. So Neal is now in second place, and here comes Yarborough up on the inside as they'll come out of four. Cale is side by side with Bonnet. Parsons has the lead. Benny will have the lead as Yarborough is in second place, and Bonnet is third with completed 302 of 328.
Yeah, that hurt Bonnet. Now, sometimes if you take that high line, though, you come off the turn with a little more speed, so it appears that you've lost ground, but then you're able to make it back up again. Now, Bonnet's problem, they've, of course, been in and out of the pits all day, as you know, but Bonnet does not have fresh rubber on his car at this point. That may be handicapping him, because, you know, this whole thing is a bit of a chess game, and you try to have the car just perfect for those last laps.
Again, we are coming to you live from Atlanta International Raceway. This race rained out last Sunday. They impounded the cars. They practiced for an hour yesterday, got going today. Skies have been clear, temperature in the high 50s, very windy, as Sam pointed out, and a great race with Parsons leading, Yarborough second, and Bonnet third. But Cale filling up the mirror of Benny, and there is Bobby Allison, who was a lap down. Bobby was running with the leaders, and we also have a blown engine and a spin between turns 1 and 2, and no yellow flag as yet.
Ron
It's car 47. Bouchard.
That's Ron Bouchard.
Now the yellow.
Driver from the north.
Yellow
There's
flag.
another one.
And somebody hitting the wall between 1 and 2 again
not
there.
one of the leaders.
Car 03, that's Eddie Bierswell.
Yeah.
In car 03. So the yellow flag is out, but they do race to the finish line.
They can. They are permitted to race to the finish line. They're not obliged to. That's an important distinction to make. But
under these circumstances, they just did.
Yes, exactly. Even more important, of course, is that this will now tighten the field up and give a couple of the drivers, namely Richard Petty, who was fast, another chance when the racing resumes.
So anyway, we've completed 304 laps. We have 24 laps, or about 36 miles to go. Benny Parsons is the leader under the yellow right now. Cale Yarborough is second. Bonnet is third. And another look here at Bierswell hitting the wall and the parts flying off, so they'll take some time to clean the debris from the track between 1 and 2.
Indeed, but these are strong cars, aren't they? Here came that race to the finish line. We're running it in slow motion there, and you can see Benny Parsons is definitely going to edge out Cale Yarborough in that dash to the finish. That's not the finish of the race, but just to the point where the yellow flag is officially waved.
So again, under the yellow, they'll take a little bit of time now to clean up the debris, get the track in order again for what should be a terrific finish, if we can finish under the green. Meanwhile, let's go to Chris Economaki for this report. Chris.
Well, it's amazing. With less than 10 laps on the tires, the leaders have stopped again for fresh rubber because they want their cars to be absolutely perfect when the green flag comes out again. Back to you, Al.
All right, Chris, we'll be back here for more live coverage of the Atlanta 500 very shortly, as soon as we get the green. But right now, after this message, more of the NCAA Swimming and Diving Championships. Raceway. The green flag came out about a minute ago, and Cale Yarborough has moved into the lead. with 17 laps to go. Benny Parsons is second. Buddy Baker is in third place. Terry Labonte, who's been fighting the flu, is in fourth position. But here is Cale Yarborough in car 28. This is his 43rd birthday, and he is leading 41-year-old Benny Parsons in car number 55. So it used to be the sport of the young lions with Waltrip in the group, and today it's old folks day with Yarborough at 43 and Parsons at 41. Running 1-2. Harry Gant running well back in the pack. We have a camera positioned in Gant's car, and you can see the view that Harry now gets as he moves through the sweeping turn.
Yeah, you can see he's working hard in there. I mean, his pulse rate is probably 3 to 3.5 times what it would be ordinarily. This is a very demanding business. In fact, there went Neil Bonnet and the other leaders, former leaders, by him on the inside, so Harry had to let them by there. Here's our other camera in that car looking at Harry. You see his tinted glasses there because of the late setting sun. You saw that nylon netting that would keep his head from hitting the wall if he smashed into it. Unfortunately, you see a very dirty windshield in that setting sun. Oh, there's Labonte was right in that. There's Richard Petty right behind him. So Harry Gant is right in the thick of things, although he is a lap back. Petty, who led earlier, had his race fall apart on him, has been very good at going low. There's Richard Brooks, also down in there inside of Harry. He is letting them by. That is a very gentlemanly thing to do, and you know he is hating it. He just does not have the horsepower.
Even though Gant is not in the thick of things in terms of contention, he is where the action is happening right now. If you look at the leader again, it is Cale Yarborough. When they come across the start-finish line this time, that will be 3:16 in the books of 3:28, so we have 12 laps or about 18 miles to go. And it's Cale Yarborough who won the Daytona 500, which was the first race this season. Now keep in mind, he was involved in an accident at Daytona during qualifying. Went to his other car, won the race. Since then, Yarborough did not participate in the race at Richmond. He was involved in the race at Rockingham and was no factor in that. And here he is, just about 16 miles from a victory in the Atlanta 500, trying to hold on with Parsons and Baker right behind him. There are the standings with Yarborough leading in the Atlanta 500. We're live from Atlanta International Raceway. We now have 8 laps to go, and Cale is beginning to stretch it out over Benny Parsons. So Yarborough, who did not qualify in a particularly scintillating fashion. In fact, Yarborough began the day well back in the pack. He started in row 11. He was the 22nd fastest qualifier, but he has it when he needs it. Here's the battle for the 3, 4, and 5 spots. You have Neil Bonnet, Buddy Baker, and Troy Ruttman, and there is the relationship between those three. Yarborough in first place and Parsons in second place. So you have a little bit of daylight right now between the top 5.
And you know, Al, Joe Ruttman, there's Cale. Joe Ruttman has driven a brilliant race, really. He's got a foot that he sprained, and I think he's driven a courageous and brilliant race. He's holding down 5th now. Cale Yarborough, of course, think of him as a Confederate general almost. I mean, here's a man who's a master of strategy, a master of timing. He seems to put it together when it counts the most. And here he is actually pulling away with 6 laps to go from Benny Parsons. If nothing happens, he appears to have it in the bag.
And drivers like particular tracks, there's no question about that. Yarborough loves this surface. They have 2 races here each year, and if he wins this, it will be the 7th time he has won a 500-mile race in Atlanta. As you can see, the sky's bright, but and we've got car 55. That's Benny Parsons blowing his engine on lap 322, and so 6 laps from the finish, and a pretty good payday if you finish second here. All of a sudden, Benny Parsons blows his engine down the back straightaway. We do not have a yellow flag. They have not detected any oil on the track, so we are still under green, but that will make things that much easier for Cale Yarborough, passing some back markers now.
Boy, look at the sun slanting into that cockpit, though, Al. I mean, I don't think it's going to trouble Cale, but it does give you an indication, and I think a hint why we had the pileups that you saw. It's just been very tricky going. The cars they average about 165 miles an hour here, but they're going almost that speed the whole way. They only dip down to about 160 in the turns themselves, then come up to about 170 on the straights. All right, now we're going to have a look again. There's the track. That's what 160, 170 miles an hour looks like. This is, of course, Harry Gant's car. Those 3 bars that you see in the center are to keep the windshield, should it break, from caving in on him. And there you see Harry working hard. It hasn't been his day. He's been out of luck all day long, but he has never given up, and he's been pushing hard the whole way.
Neil Bonnet now in second place with Parsons out. And with Cale Yarborough coming across the start-finish line here, we have just 3 laps to go. He has a sizable advantage over Bonnet. Buddy Baker is currently third. Baker started the day in the front row alongside the pole sitter Jeff Bodine, who ran very well early, but on lap 17 had to pit, went out for a couple of more laps, and then he parked it for the day. Cale Yarborough with a little bit more than 2 laps to go. The setting sun at Atlanta International Raceway with a good crowd looking on. The race delayed a week by rain, and Cale Yarborough looking for his second victory this season. He did not participate in one race. You mentioned he was not a factor in terms of the finish at Rockingham. However, he did have the lead in that race when he was knocked out in an incident with Neil Bonnet. There is Bonnet currently in second place, and Cale not worried about any incident here because he has a big enough lead.
But it does give you an idea that these 2 men, Yarborough and Bonnet, are definite front runners in this 1983 season. There's the relationship. Too much for Neil to do anything about it with the little time that's remaining. It's so interesting when you come down to these last laps. It's kind of a chess game among the crew chief. 1 lap to go now. And for some reason, Cale Yarborough and his crew has absolutely come up with the combination.
So Cale Yarborough starting 22nd. And on his 43rd birthday, a double celebration coming up for Cale tonight as he'll head around 3 and 4 and win his 7th 500-mile race at Atlanta International Raceway. There's a relationship between first and second, and that's quite a margin these days in NASCAR racing. Last year, we had a margin of victory of 2 inches, and here it is Cale Yarborough winning it by about 15 car lengths. Cale Yarborough, the winner, 1.1 seconds.
Pretty clean race, really.
Or at Daytona, you saw Bonnet in your mirror here. When you know what happened at Rockingham with him, what were you thinking when he came behind you?
Well, I was thinking I wasn't going to let him get that close again. I had backed off there the last 10 laps. We pretty much had him covered.
We'll have another party next year today, Cale.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, back to you, Al.
All right, thank you, Chris, as Cale Yarborough wins it. So the USFL game's running a little long today, and we had hoped to bring you a little bit more of this race. As it turned out, you did not miss much of the action. A couple of incidents earlier on, and then Cale Yarborough moving to the 4 as Neil Bonnet winds up second. Buddy Baker finishes third. Joe Ruttman 4th, and Richard Petty 5th. And a look at the final results, 6th through 10th. So Yarborough celebrating birthday number 43 with a victory in Atlanta. Al Michael sings along for Sam Posey and Chris Economy.